County Commissioners Board work session. It is Wednesday, November 9th, 2022. It is 2:13 p.m. For public virtual attendance, you may follow along on the Thurston County YouTube channel. I'm Carolina Mejia, I'm the chair of the board. To my right is Vice Chair Ty Manser. To my left is Commissioner Gary Edwards. Also in the boardroom, we have County Manager Ramiro Chavez, as well as staff from Central Services and Public Works. And they'll be discussing with us winter preparedness briefing, and this is an informational session, so.
Who's going to take the
Mike, Jason?
Where's this? That show.
Bruce, are you still riding your bike in?
I am. Good. Right here. There we go. You got it.
You gonna run that?
Yep, you can close that.
Thank you. All right. Good afternoon, Commissioners, County Manager. Mike Lohman, Public Works Road Operations Manager. And today's presentation is our annual report out on our preparedness for the upcoming winter. This is a coordinated effort between Facility Services, Fleet Services, Public Works, and Emergency Management. To provide you with information today, we have Jason Ash, Facility Services Manager, Bruce Rohrbaugh, Fleet Services Manager. On Zoom is Peter Tassoni, Emergency Management Manager, and I'll be sharing information related to Public Works. As I'm sure you've probably heard, this is our third La Nina year in a row. Those conditions are typically below normal temperatures and above normal precipitation. As the season progresses, the forecast is for La Nina impacts to lessen. These types of broad predictions focus on seasonal averages. Individual events are generally able to be predicted when they are 5 or 10 days out. As mentioned earlier, these are the work units that have coordinated on this effort and that you will be hearing from today. Each group you see represented has specific responsibilities related to severe weather. And to begin sharing the specifics for each component of our preparedness is Jason Ash. Jason.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Jason Ash, Facilities Manager. I'll briefly touch on some of the high points of the winter preparation we've been doing and will continue to do. As you may recall, a project was completed late last year for the Tilly Complex. It provided automatic standby generator power for the brine plant. It's completed and ready to use during winter months in the case of a power outage. We've also recently cleaned the stormwater ponds at FJC. We've also been continuing to work with stormwater, recently completing all of the stormwater catch basin cleaning and filter changes for the year. After last Friday's storm, we have been cleaning the roofs and gutters and making roof repairs at many sites. This will continue to be done throughout the winter. Emergency and outside lighting was recently tested. Necessary repairs were completed. We'll continue to test periodically throughout the all winter. Just as of yesterday, actually, we began de-icing and snow removal equipment is prepared. It was laid down yesterday, as I stated, in preparation for the coming freezing temperatures this week. Generator service, unfortunately, was delayed due to vendor scheduling conflicts and staffing issues with the vendor, but that is currently on the schedule to be completed mid-November. So, I've recently met with my staff and we have discussed all the winter duties and assigned staff to certain buildings in the case of de-icing or snow event. This includes the de-icing of the sidewalks and stairways. We've also been doing boiler and heating loop maintenance and we'll continue to do that. I have staff on standby to do inspections after a winter storm to make sure they're ready to be occupied and safe for occupation. I also recently met with the landscaping contractor, making sure they have the snow removal equipment prepared for a snow event at all county buildings. And we've developed a snow removal plan for the winter. And then last, as the weather started changing here in the last few weeks, we've been adjusting heating schedules and lighting schedules. And as I also stated, when weather conditions require, I will have facility staff on hand prior to operating hours to ensure the sites are ready for occupancy. Next, I'll turn it over to Bruce with Fleet Services.
Next slide, please. So in preparation for this winter, Fleet Services has conducted preventative maintenance on both vehicles that are used to plow sand and multi-ice roads, as well as supporting fleet, such as pumps, construction equipment used to load sand and salt, and the equipment used to fill sandbags to manage flow. Controllers used to control sanders and anti-icers received upgrades and calibration last week. Chains have been inspected for serviceability and availability. In 2022, Fleet Services has improved several pieces of equipment in preparation for this season. Previous successful upgrade was changing plow bits to longer wearing bits that could last the full season instead of needing to be changed multiple times during an event. We're planning on extending this longer wearing bits to the graders. So one of the graders has been fitted with the longer wearing bits, and we'll assess to see if that's cost effective. This year we've also upgraded the telematics program. Telematics provides vehicle location over a commercial data network to a web browser. And this year, or in previous years, we've attempted to use physical switches on the plows to determine the plow position, whether it's up or down. Those switches tend to get fouled with ice and snow. So we've installed an in-cab solution on one of the dump trucks to see if that can provide more accurate data on service provided. And this, in the past year, fleet, roads, and facilities.
County manager?
Bruce, a question related to the equipment. This past winter, the snow plows operated 24/7 for, I don't know, maybe 5 days in a row. And the conditions were such, the roads iced up, so it provides a lot of wear and tear to the plows themselves. I remember, correct me if I'm wrong, it was a gasket, a couple of gaskets that just failed, and we have to wait, I believe, until the replacement came. Do we have enough, in stock to deal with any parts that may be, wear and tear during those events?
We do seasonal stock up for parts. I'd have to get back to you on this particular gasket event.
That's my recollection, may be off on that one, but it was one element of the plowing that actually, just because of the wear and tear.
And so it was in this last year?
Yeah.
I'll have to look at the records from the February.
If I'm off, but that's what I remember. Just curious.
Which leads to the stock levels. Review stock levels to ensure seasonal use items are on hand. Fleet Services maintains a fuel island at the Tilly complex with 20,000 gallon above ground diesel and unleaded tanks. And when a weather event is forecast, we verify that fuel is on hand and we order a top off if it's appropriate. During emergency response, we switched to 24-hour operations to support the county's response. Shifts are 12 hours running from noon to midnight and midnight to noon for equipment mechanics. And we have 4 to 5 mechanics on a shift at a time currently. And unless there are any other questions, I'll be followed by Matt.
Okay, Mike Lohman again, Road Operations Manager. As I mentioned, this is the third La Nina year in a row, and as the year progresses, those impacts are expected to lessen. The climate predictions are good for seasonal averages and generally events are able to be predicted 5 to 10 days in advance. We continually monitor forecasts closely in order to deploy resources as effectively as possible. Although through the winter, our main focus is snow and ice, we also prepare for flooding, windstorms, and extreme temperatures. Public Works oversees several infrastructure facilities that are considered essential during severe weather events. The Waste and Recovery Center works to ensure they'll be able to stay open for both public and commercial carriers who provide garbage service to communities. They will also be monitoring their drop box locations in Rochester and Rainier and will report their status during an event. Water and waste utilities managers are preparing their pump sites, generators, and vehicles to ensure they're able to maintain service to ratepayers. Parks and Trails staff are prepping county-owned facilities and parks and along trails. This includes winterizing buildings and irrigation systems, ensuring culverts, drains, and stormwater structures remain clear throughout the fall and winter. And our road operations division has been preparing equipment and training staff as well. While protecting residents from hazardous conditions is our objective, we're likely to experience challenges in meeting that goal this year. Like many other agencies, we're finding it difficult to fill our vacancies. To illustrate this point, over 20% of our field positions are either vacant, employees that are on a long-term leave, or employees working in a limited capacity. Considering that there may be employees on vacation or out sick when an actual event occurs, we could be faced with significant operational impacts. We do continue to see long lead times for materials and parts. This can result in extended downtime of equipment, as County Manager mentioned about last year. To minimize this impact, we have stocked up on common wear parts and filled our material stockpiles. We're concerned that lower staffing levels and supply chain issues could result in a level of service reduction. To minimize this potential risk, we're taking a proactive approach to events. We will monitor forecasts and conditions often. We will pre-schedule staff when an event is identified as needing a response. And one of the keys we can do there is applying a brine application prior to an event. If you drove a county road today, you noticed we were out doing that yesterday in anticipation of the cold weather. Regardless of the obstacles faced, we'll strive to deliver a consistent level of service that meets ever increasing public safety expectations. To provide the best public service possible, Public Works began preparing for winter events early. Our vehicles have been inspected by Fleet Services. All equipment's been gone over with a fine-tooth comb and is ready for service. In October, Public Works staff completed a comprehensive chainsaw training course that included both classroom and field instruction. Just last week, staff participated in our annual winter operations training. This training includes activities such as installing chains on vehicles, loading anti-icing material, attaching snowplows, and loading sanders. During this training, staff receive refreshers on the paperwork associated with winter operations, policies and procedures, proper plowing techniques, and instruction of proper use of our new brine machine. Staff also took time to familiarize themselves with snowplow and anti-icing routes to identify obstacles that may present a challenge when covered with snow. We've staged water over road signs, road closed signs, cones, flares, chainsaws, and sandbags at our outlying maintenance shops to allow for a shorter response time when those items are needed.
Mike, with that chainsaw training, I mean, don't we have a couple properties that need some?
Besides that, you come to my place and maybe cut on trees to get the idea? No.
Okay. Risk twitching.
Okay.
So during prolonged extreme weather events, like we experienced last year, materials such as salt and sand can be in short supply, so we've stocked up. As part of our preparation, we make our own anti-icing solution to use on roads during snow and ice events. We're one of the few government agencies in the area who have the facilities capable of making this product. As a result, we coordinate and sell brine to other municipalities at our cost. Agencies that have purchased this product from us include Grace Harbor County, City of Aberdeen, the City of Olympia, Intercity Transit, and the Port of Olympia. As you may be aware, we commissioned our new brine machine at the beginning of this year. That machine is extremely efficient, and with the salt we currently have on hand, we can manufacture over 300,000 gallons of brine.
You got plenty of dry sand now too, right?
We do have dry sand, sir, yes.
He's gonna say it.
That's a great tool in our toolbox.
I've heard that.
The map you see here illustrates snow and ice routes within our 6 response areas. By dividing the county into smaller response areas, we're able to focus our resources and respond to the needs of our residents in a timely manner. During an event, we will designate specific equipment and staff to each area, allowing us to facilitate an efficient and effective response. Within each response area, we have a priority by which roads are addressed. Primary roadways are addressed first. Those are major arterials and roads that provide access to highways and critical facilities. As the primary roads are completed in each area, crews will begin work on secondary collector roadways. The principle behind our snow and ice response is that we have the ability to plow or anti-ice all primary routes in one work shift. To keep the public informed, our education and outreach team will be working with County Public Information Office to ensure that the public is aware of our preparations and where to find information about the status of roads and other infrastructure during a weather event. This includes writing a news story and creating a video for distribution on county-owned social media and news pages. We've created a page on the Public Works website where information about all Public Works facilities will be updated and available to the public during a weather-related event. This includes any weather-related delays or closures of facilities or roadways. We also provide contact information and links to websites of other municipalities in our area, making it easier for community members to find holistic information about services during an event. We've set up protocols to ensure staff will provide on-site communication support during weather events. Staff will work as a liaison between Public Works staff, emergency management, and the Public Information Office to ensure timely updates are provided about infrastructure during a severe weather event. I thank you for the opportunity to share how Public Works is preparing for the winter season ahead, and I'd be happy to answer any questions you have now or at the end of the presentation after Peters speaks about emergency management.
Thanks, Mike, and good afternoon, commissioners. I assume you can see me. Please excuse my virtual appearance today because most of my family is behind me sick with the flu. So I'm doing double duty today, but also ensuring that I'm keeping the work environment safe by not being there. Next slide. So emergency management has also been doing various preparations for the winter weather, including doing with the National Weather Service crystal ball outlook for what the weather will bring this winter. Sandbags have been pre-positioned both at Public Works and the ECC up on Tilly and also at the fire stations. We've updated staff availability and training for various county department staff. And then we've met with our various dam operators about the winter season. Next slide, please. Thank you to the commissioners for doing Flood Awareness Week. The proclamation in October allowed us to do some pretty targeted outreach with residents, from 7,500 flood bulletins being mailed out to Flood Smart insurance information being sent out, and then also testing the TC alert on October 20th. Next slide, please. I think the county manager even initiated a TC alert just last week to county employees. This can be one of the mediums that we can alert employees and staff to inclement weather, to maybe facilities being closed. But nonetheless, we continue to promote TC alert at least quarterly. And we also are involved in preparation drills, and I hope that you all engaged in the shakeout drill on October 20th, which is the drop and hold on underneath your desk. Next slide. Should we get an incident or a set of instances, a series of instances or an event this winter that overwhelms the county, we do want to declare an emergency. It gives us two things. It allows us to free up the procurement rules so that we can go out and procure things faster as needed in the emergency, but also aids in receiving both state and federal response and recovery help. Normally, EM would make a recommendation or resolution that goes up the chain to the board for their action and proclamation. And then next slide. And staying with the COOP in the event that the board we can't get a hold of the board members, then we can take this administrative action and then to get the emergency declared, and then circle back to the board to ensure that it's a legislative action that actually occurs. One more slide is the ECC activations, the Emergency Coordination Center. In the event, it starts locally, so first responders, TCOM, even the county manager, someone is asking for the ECC to be activated, and this goes up through the chain to the county manager to get approval, and then once approved, then we'll start calling folks in to the ECC to help support the incident or event that's ongoing. And so this is more of an administrative, but definitely the proclamation for the emergency disaster is a legislative action for the board. Next slide. That's the end of EM's brief. Are there any questions for any of the divisions represented here today?
Thank you. Questions? Commissioner Edwards?
I do not have any questions, thank you.
Commissioner Medford?
I got a question for you. On Thurston Alert, like in the last couple of months, I get a lot of messages like the following. Thurston Alert, red flag warning, issued September 25th until September 26th at 7 p.m. It doesn't tell me what I'm supposed to be alerted about or what it relates to. And I was getting a lot of those every week or two. And I was just wondering why we're sending alerts without letting people know what to be alerted of.
So the way the system is designed, we're just forwarding the National Weather Service alerts through the TC alert system. And so that's the message coming from the Weather Service. So the red flags in particular have to deal with ignition, dry conditions, sunny dry conditions, and chance of igniting a wildfire. And for us in Thurston County, it's the bald hills in the corner there that are usually an elevation high enough that they've been falling into that red flag. So yes, I hear your point that we should put a little bit more context around what the alert's about. But the system, in order to get it out quickly, it's an automated system.
Yeah, even a link to something else would be, something, so you could, if you were really curious, you could figure out what it's all about.
Noted. We'll work on that.
Thank you. I don't have any questions. I just want to thank all of you for all of your hard work as we go into the very rainy and snowy season. I was not very happy when I went to turn on my car this morning and it was all frosty. So, but this year during February, I was just very happy when I saw, our plows going through and making sure that the streets were clean, and staff always does a great job, especially understand with staffing issues going on right now, and I'm going above and beyond really to be able to provide this 24-hour-a-day service whenever there's an emergency. So thanks to all of you and to all of your staff for all the hard work you do for the community of Thurston County.
Thank you.
So it is 2:38. We are adjourned.